In this episode, I'm going to show you a lot of Jõgeva. I'm going to show you some of the history of the place, some of the facts about the place. I'm also going to give you a few opinions. We're going to go to a pub. I'm also going to talk about 10 years ago, when I first came to Estonia, my first impressions of Estonia. And Jõgeva was one of the first towns I sort of ended up in, because that was the train destination that I got off after arriving from Tallinn. And I was only 17 years old. So we're in a rather grey Jõgeva today.
It looks like an egg.
We've been to the Betty Alver Museum. So a little bit about Betty Alver. She was a poet. She was born in 1906 and she died in 1989. She's a famous poet in Estonia. I've read some of her poetry and I thought, okay, it was translated into English, but it was brilliant. Some of it was actually really good, quite poignant. Richly robed and laurel-wreathed, once the intellect roasted fattened oxen on the spit. But what about now? The masses worship stupidity. A wreath is still a wreath, but observe, my friend, now the intellect is on the spit, and the ox is turning the rod. And she sadly had a quite tough time, as most Estonians did, when the Soviet Union took over. For example, her husband was taken, Heiti was his name, I believe, and he was taken, arrested and died in Siberia. And she wasn't allowed to write poetry for years. And it wasn't until the 60s that she started to write again, because she was not allowed to.
Selle ilma igav kainus rõhub nagu raudne soomus. Kõigesse, mis väär ja ohtlik, kiindub kirglikult mu loomus. Joobumuses, viirastustes mind ei köida kirev kude, kuid ma tean, maailma raskus läheb lendu kord kui ude.
The other day we went to the Naiste Tantsupidu 2022. It happens apparently every 5 years, but because of COVID it didn't happen. And I got some lovely shots of that. It's like a kaleidoscope of colours and dances. About 3,000 women taking part. 3,000 men went hungry that day. I'm joking, of course. There's your money. So the Tantsupidu was focused heavily on the family, as in they were trying to show the message of how, you know, women play important roles in the family and daughters' relationships with their father, daughters' relationship with their mother. It got quite emotional at times, especially the mother-daughter one, for me anyway. I don't know why, it was really nice. Christina's mum took part and she takes a lot of pride in, you know, the Dorma dance ladies. We filmed them before in Tartu. And it was really great to see them all having a good time. But it's a long day. They do 3 performances, really quite hot weather, and you know, thousands and thousands of dancers. But it's like a kaleidoscope of colours. They try and make patterns. We saw the Estonian national bird pattern, and we saw loads of patterns really, flowers and whatnot. Really cool. Great little programme, tear in my eye for the odd bits. Jõgeva is also famous for having the recorded coldest temperature in Estonia, and there's a little monument to signify that. And temperatures can actually get up to 35 degrees in the summer, and we've had some few warm days actually already in June, and we're coming close now to the longest day in terms of day length. Just walking across the train tracks now. It's quite easy to do. You gotta look, don't get run over. Yeah, Jõgeva is really weird actually. It's actually got more than you think. At first it seems quite quiet, like there's nothing here, and it's all spread out. But there's like loads of supermarkets here, loads of shops, and sometimes you've got to look quite hard for the shops. They're not always obvious. So we're walking now down what equivalently is one of the high streets. You don't have a traditional high street in Jõgeva, and most Estonian towns don't have them. So it's really hard to know where all the shops are. They're kind of peppered around the place.
Footwear, laundry.
That's a shop? How would you know?
Did you see it on there? So as a foreigner you wouldn't.
No. See, that looks like a shop. Acts like a shop.
Yeah.
That looks like... Jõgeva was one of my first experiences of Estonia. When I first met Christina, we went on the train station from here. I tell you what struck me about Jõgeva. I couldn't tell where anything was. There was no high street. It didn't feel like a Welsh town, like what I'm used to. It just felt weird. And you had these really big grey buildings. I mean, behind me there, I don't think that never used to say Co-op and all that on it. That just used to be a grey building, and now it has Co-op on it. And I thought it was a right dive. I'm not going to lie. I thought, where have I come to? So about 10 years ago, I met Christina, and that was in Aberystwyth. We were in uni, but she had to go back home for commitments in Estonia during the summer holidays, and I decided that I wanted to go and see her. So I was 17, got on the plane, got off.
Was it first plane?
Yep.
Alone?
Yeah, it was my first time on a plane alone. I was sitting on the plane, and next to me was a lovely couple. One was British, the guy, and the other lady was Estonian. And they asked me, where are you staying, or where are you going? And I said, oh, I'm going somewhere near Jõgeva, Mustfe. And they just kind of looked at me and went, oh, I thought you were going to go to Tallinn or Tartu. I thought, what's wrong with Mustfe and Jõgeva? And this is where I was going. And they said, oh, it's a bit, middle of the nowhere, lots of insects, you might get a bit of shock. And, there's nothing to do there. Anyway, got on the train from Tallinn, and back in then days, I sound like old, but I'm not, but 10 years ago there was no L1 trains. The L1 trains are the new modern ones. They were the old Soviet Union style ones, and they were very big, built for purpose, lots of seats, really hard to get onto. Forget about disabled access or pushchair access or any of that, but it was it was an interesting experience, and it was completely different to the UK train system. I mean, the trains were on time for starters. Got off, got to Jõgeva, tiny train station, and I remember on the square I met up with a lot of the family members for the first time. So now my now brother-in-laws, and I remember one of them showed up in his black estate car. He literally drives up, because I'm standing next to the curb on the pavement. It like bumps me with the car slightly and beeps the horn. I jump. He then comes out the car with the baton and like hits against hand, gesturing like, you watch out. It was all a big joke, of course. He's a lovely guy, but he was just trying to wind me up. But I remember only being 17, and she just said, if you get Christina pregnant, you're in big trouble. So that was that.
You're still not in trouble?
Still not in trouble. Still haven't got you pregnant. So for a town of about 5,000 people, they have two pubs, and this is where it's at. This is where it's at on a Friday and Saturday night. So we might try and go there on a Saturday night or Friday night and see what it's like. Okay, we're driving to the Jõgeva Saksa pub. Saksa pubi. Yeah. We've been celebrating Jaanipäev in Estonia, which is like the midsummer holiday. It's like the 23rd and 24th. It's like a proper holiday, like a public holiday. And one of the famous things about Jaanipäev is the White Knights. Valged Öd. I think I'm saying that right. Valged Öd. So Christina films now. You can get these. It's quite late. It's like 11 o'clock. The sun's set. We're about half an hour ago, maybe an hour ago, not even that. And now it won't get dark. It will stay like this pretty much. It'll get a bit dark for midnight, but you get this lovely sort of vibe, like young love. There's all these nights and people talking around the fire, memories, shashlik, live music. Going to now see what the pub nightlife is like in Jõgeva. There's nobody in it. It's literally like nobody in it. So would you believe it? We've had a nice house. I've had a few pints. Christina's had some cranberry juice. She's driving home. But it's like, what, 4 a.m? It is 4 a.m. and it's bright as anything. Like, that's the Valged Öd. Because it just doesn't get dark. So, do you know what? I had a really good time. When we got to the pub, it was dead. I was like, well, we're not going to be here long, are we? And then I had the balls, all the alcoholic bravery, and I said, "Do you see it? Do you to see it?" I said to another couple, I said, "Come sit next to us. We'll have a chat. Like, why not?" And they were like, "Yeah, go on then." And they were actually really grateful that we'd had a chat because, like they had someone to talk to, and we had someone to talk to, and it was a really good vibe. And they were saying like, "Oh no, usually that never happens." And I said, "Well, in the UK, like, it's quite common for people to pubs to be like, oh, come on, have a chat, oh, you know, like, there's a bit more openness.
I loved it. Enjoyed it. I was so sleepy though. But like 1 a.m. I was like, I need to go to bed. It's way past my bedtime.
I can't believe it's bright at 4
I
a.m.
had 3 Granbury juices.
And so we finished the night out, and now it's the sunrise, would you believe? It's like the pub closed at 4, and the sun was rising about 4. Ah, Manos.
Can I stop the car?